Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is when you're watching this video. It's Matt Jukic here for Portland Meadows official YouTube channel. One of the first videos we're going to upload here. We're going to have a look at the Kentucky Derby, the 138th running, of course, on May 5th, 3:24 p.m. Pacific time. Let's have a look at the field. Hopefully get you headed in the right direction with maybe a winner. We're going to start down close to the inside. We'll look at all the horses. Let's start with the three, though, and Take Charge Indy. Of course, Calvin Burrell going to ride winner of the last 3 of the 5 derbies. I don't really know where Take Charge Indy does fit anymore. Of course, was the winner of the Florida Derby over that biased racetrack, was really favoring speed that day, and we saw what happened with Union Rags, El Padrino. So Take Charge Indy kind of took advantage of a bad situation. Very talented runner, of course, AP Indy, Take Charge Lady, banked over $2.4 million in her career. So he'll take some action being Burrell at Churchill Downs, but I just don't know if he's good enough to topple these. For Union Rags, you got to have a look at Union Rags for all of your top spots in here. We're going to throw out that Florida Derby in general, as J.J. Castellano was more worried about riding the horse that he used to be on as opposed to the horse that he was on, and really gave Union Rags a terrible, terrible trip. I think Union Rags bounces back from that and has been and capitalizes on what's been a pretty big 3-year-old season so far. 5's Dullahan. I really don't think he likes this surface too much. Probably be better once they get back to synthetics and grass surfaces. The big horse, everyone's talking about, the morning line favorite, and Bodemeister. Not for me. I really just don't trust Bodemeister. Of course, it's been 130 years since a horse did not race at 2 and then won the Derby. There's a lot, some pretty talented horses who come through, most notably Curlin, of course, went on to be great later in his career, but just couldn't muster enough to get that Derby win. His Dam and Dam's Dam, both were good at up to a mile and a 16th. I just don't know if Bodie's going to be there for Bob Baffert, of course, notorious Derby trainer. 8's going to be Creative Cause. I think this guy's got a pretty big shot in here. 8 times to the post, 4 wins, 2 seconds, 2/3. Never been beaten more than a length in his entire career with those 2 third-place finishes. Guy always shows up, brings the lunch pail, gives you the best shot that he can. Joel Rosario, Mike Harrington, I think this guy's got a legitimate shot to take it all, as well as the other California horse, I'll Have Another. 10's going to be Daddy Knows Best. Might be a sleeper in here, coming out of that productive Sunland Derby a couple of years back. We saw Mind That Bird finish 4th in that race, come back to run a big one, and win in the slop over that strip. I don't know where he fits in these, but the light bulbs kind of come on lately. He's been running really well. Comes in with those 2 wins, the El Camino Real, then the Sunland Park win. Garrett Gomez takes over, of course, no stranger to the finish line. Daddy Knows Best might be one to throw in, and might be a pretty juicy price. I fed it to the 11 in Alpha, Rashi Mirage, Kieran McLaughlin. This guy's a half to Numani, who we saw at Hastings run from 1.5 miles to 2.5 miles and win pretty handily. If he can run anything like his half-brother did at the distance, this guy should relish going 1.25 miles. He's got the best Tomlinson in the field going this far. We'll see if he can capitalize on some of that breeding. 13's Went the Day Well, looking for the first repeat owner-trainer jockey combo since Riva Ridge and Secretariat. Graham Mosh, of course, going to send this one out. I just don't really know if he's good enough to topple these. Of course, was the winner of the Spiral on the synthetic surface in his last. I just don't care for horses who are going to make an equipment change going into a big, big race. He's going to try the blinkers out for the first time in his career. He might get some action based on the connections, but Went the Day Well is not the one for me. One who might be actually underrated in this bunch is the 15 Gemologist. 5 for 5, not been beaten to the finish line yet after getting all he could handle from Alpha last out in the wood. Hard to imagine that a horse who's never lost is going to be underrated in here, but he might go off as a 3rd or 4th choice. Might be forgotten, of course, 6-1 on the morning line. Another one might be a little speedy, and with Trinidberg now in here, it might just throw the whole race to shambles, and all those speed horses, of course, Hansen drawn just inside of this one. Trinidberg, Gemologist could be in for a pretty wide trip. Of course, J.J. Castellano does land on this one, taking off, of course, the 16 horse in El Padrino. El Padrino really kind of lost all chance in the Florida Derby when JJ was more interested in beating Union Rags than winning with this horse. Neither horse won. It was mission accomplished. That's when Take Charge Indy took advantage and was able to score in that one. 19's going to be I'll Have Another, Doug O'Neill. Mario Gutierrez, of course, near and dear to our heart here in the Pacific Northwest. Mario, a 2-time rider at Hastings, a 2-time leading rider at Hastings Racecourse. Shipped down to Santa Anita for this winter. I'll Have Another's been great since they brought him back from that disappointing run of the Hopeful over a sloppy track. Other than that, he's been right there in all of his starts. I think if he gets any kind of trip from the 19 hole. He'll be the first one to win the Derby from the outside post of the 19, and he might actually have a chance to be involved in a nice 12, 15, 16 to 1, somewhere in there. I'm going to head to the 11 in Alpha as my top selection in here. I don't mind the 4 Union Rags. Might round it up with the 8 Creative Cause or the 19. I'll have another. Both are pretty similar horses, and they always seem to give you their best effort. It's 11 Alpha for me in the 130th running of the Kentucky Derby.